guess there's a reason why I write. It gives me time to put all my thoughts into something cohesive. But I thought I'd try to get better at this. And I tried a different format, but that clearly wasn't genuine. Too distracting. It wasn't for me. But this is more me. On the way here, I hate to say it, I was thinking about the supposed thought experiment. If a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? And I don't think I've ever been on board with that, Even as a kid, I was like, well, yeah, it makes a sound because it fell. Well, oh, it's gonna fall quietly? And I never really looked into it because, why? It's objectively, the answer is yes, right? But I guess Wikipedia had a few little contextual points that I guess maybe end up thinking about this question more than just saying yes. I really didn't think it was a thought experiment. And I still think it's one of the lamer ones. Some of the points were talking about observation versus perception, and if the world acts differently when it's not being observed. Ultimately, it went down to quantum mechanics, like Schrodinger's cat. The cat is in the box and not in the box, or dead and not dead at the same time in the box. But that's quantum mechanics. I guess the fundamentals of the building blocks of life and everything around us. But I don't think they necessarily scale up. And the question, does it make a sound? I guess it almost becomes a really just a question about what is sound. Because if a tree falls in the woods, it's gonna make an impact. It's gonna produce sound waves. And so they were the Wikipedia article, I don't know, it's kind of getting at the idea that sound is what we perceive sound is, because technically there are sound waves, but we don't all perceive sound in the same way. Like insects feel sound. We've got eardrums, and the shape of our ear is helping us recognize where sounds come from. It's all just pattern recognition, right? That's what humans do real well. Recognize patterns. like even subconsciously. So I think, does it make a sound? Yeah, right. But someone, I guess, expanded that it's not just if a human were to hear it, but if there were no animals nearby, would it make a sound? And like, still yes, physics, sound waves, they would. If I were deaf, would I hear that? No. It would still make a sound. And I guess the third point was, does an observer affect the outcome? So whether or not there's an observer, does the same thing happen? Does it only make a sound because the observer is there? I feel like this is pretty easy to disprove, even though they say you can't. Because we can, put a microphone in the woods and not be around to observe it. Come back a decade later and listen to that tree fall in the woods 1,000 times over. I guess what I'm trying to get at is it seems naive to assume that the world doesn't keep turning if you're not watching. Like, the question is only thought-provoking if you chose a bad time. I mean, this just seems excessive. Is there a tornado? That'd be pretty crazy. Pretty coincidental timing. Like, it kind of seems like there's one of those bell curves just of understanding the world, where people on the ends, the few dumb people and the few really smart people are going to be like, no, it doesn't make a sound, because sound only exists when I'm there. And the smart people are like, no, it doesn't make a sound, Because we can't observe it, we can't disprove or prove that it makes a sound. And people in the middle, living in the real world, are like, yeah, no, it makes a sound. Because I have the basic intuition and understanding of how this world works. I've lived my whole life knowing that things make sound, even if I'm not there to hear it. But it kind of feels like that middle section is getting a lot smaller. People living in the real world, at least, in this great America we live in, there are less of them. A lot of those dumb people saying, things don't exist unless I see them. Science isn't real because I haven't done it. People, not necessarily the smart ones, but the ones with the power are like, yeah, no, science doesn't exist. A wink. I really like the Distractable episode, Funniest Joke in the World. Back when AI wasn't as sophisticated as it is now. I don't know, not too long before ChatGPT became a thing. Mark put that question, or that thought experiment, into some language model. I don't know. But it spat out, if a man lies on the ground, does he sink into the earth? And I almost feel like that's a better thought experiment. Because that one, I feel like, doesn't have a straight answer, yes or no. Because obviously you're like, no, of course not. Ridiculous. But I don't know. Do I sink into the earth? Eventually I do, right? Just a matter of time. Isn't that what graveyards are? Just a bunch of people sinking into the earth. But if I do nothing, do I cease to exist? I feel like we have some of the basics of how this world works pretty down pat. So it's kind of confusing that we don't have the basics of society down pat. Like the golden rule, why isn't that still the golden rule? I don't feel like people are treating others the way they want to be treated. Maybe they are in different countries, but this one feels like sharing isn't caring. I've been going outside a lot. It's pretty out here. It's nice. Dare I say needed, necessary, human. It feels like it fulfills a some empty spot in me. And a spot that I didn't really know was there. Because I also like being inside. Computers are cool. I love this camera. My phone is very cool. My laptop's my baby. But like, what does it matter? What does it matter? If a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, doesn't make a sound, what's it matter? Who cares? That's not the important question. But beyond that, what? Who's to say it doesn't make a sound? Because it seems like from all of human knowledge put together, it's ought to make a sound. How could it not? And every day, I go about my business. And I'm making a sound. Whether it's observed or not, I'm making a change in this world. Everybody is. I don't know. I don't feel like this is a cohesive thought that I would make if I wrote it down. And I also feel like I gotta cut out that tornado siren. That lasted a pretty long time. I was also thinking, if grass is left alone and no one's around to observe it, does it grow? Yeah. I'd be cutting that shit. Yeah, I guess that's about it for right now. I'll talk to you tomorrow.